United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bobby, if you could call the roll.
Commissioner Dean Hazelhorst,
Present.
Commissioner Chair Butch Schleier,
Present.
Commissioner Neil Younker.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Order of business. I believe we will have one executive session, and Mr. Kennedy won't be here for his update.
I do have a statement I'll read.
Okay. Prior minutes, February 8th. Any concerns? No. Look good to me, so the minutes stand as submitted. Do I hear a motion for our consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through G.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Are there issues from persons not on the order of business tonight? Don't see nothing out there. The monthly department report. Commissioners, did you have a chance to review the report?
Yes, sir.
Comments, concerns?
Look very good as usual.
Okay, our next agenda item is the conditional use permit for the event center out on Buckeye Road. I believe during the past week, the Board of Commissioners individually received a whole lot of information from people who are protesting this situation. So I think probably I would like to start off first to hear from some protesters. Hear the concerns. We're not going to listen to everybody. I would like 2 or 3 spokesmen to come forward, list some concerns so we have a good idea of what you're talking about, and then we'll go from there. So who would like to come up here first?
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Sue McCrae Bickle. I live at 2052 250th Avenue, that's 180 on Highway 183. We built our home in 1995, and I'm here to protest the permit 2044 on the Zimmerman Event Center on Buckeye Road. I was at the January 27th meeting, but was unsure of the plans of the proposed venue, so I did not sign in to speak. After hearing the plans, I have some concerns to share. Tonight, I speak for myself and on behalf of my dad, Dr. Paul McCrae, who owns considerable property directly south of the Zimmerman location. Leanne had a chance to counter the people who did get up and speak, and I will address some of our answers. Zimmerman said we don't have enough event venues in Ellis County. I've got a list. Can I run through that? Buckeye School, capacity 150 or more. 4-H Fairground buildings, the Shank has 6,600 square foot. The Enron building 7,500 square foot. Fox Pavilion, capacity 1,000. The Strand, capacity 1,980. The venue of Thirsties, capacity 100. Gross Memorial Coliseum, capacity 425. The Memorial Union has the Fort Hays Ballroom, capacity 500, and the Black and Gold Room, capacity 200. Rose Garden Banquet Hall and Catering has capacity of 500. The new Hilton Garden Inn has 7,800 square feet of meeting space. The VFW in Hays has 2 rooms. Capacity for one is 450 and the other is 140. And the Knights of Columbus Hall in Ellis has a capacity of 475. The response to Alan Schmidt's concern for possible injuries to kids from the venue on the school playground equipment and liabilities to the township, Zimmerman said, "The children attending these events at the Buckeye Barn usually or using the playground equipment at the school is unlikely, considering the event center will be about 2,000 feet from the Buckeye School, and the children would have to cross cultivated ground to get there." I say 2,000 feet is equivalent to about 6 city blocks, and that's not very far between the venue and Buckeye School. Likely they would walk on the paved Buckeye Road to get between the two, creating a risk of getting hit. Zimmerman said that she did not plan to install a sprinkler system in the building, as she was informed by her insurance agent she was not required to do so. This building will measure 120 foot by 60 foot for events and accommodate up to 350 people. For the safety's sake, it should be required to have a quality sprinkler system inside the building to provide protection to the people at the events and the near residents who would be in danger if there was an out-of-control fire. This location will increase the traffic in the area. The increased number of people this will bring is a problem for security and safety to everyone who lives in the community. Drunk driving and joyriding on country roads, I'm sure, will increase and present a greater risk for accidents. Smokers pitching lit cigarette butts out the window and into the ditches risk causing fires. The man who lives across the road from the Buckeye School at 1654 Buckeye Road is the closest resident to the proposed event venue and is a registered sex offender. He has criminal records in 3 different states: California, Idaho, and Oregon. He's been seen outside his home naked by several local people at different times. He's been seen with a young male child only wearing their underwear, and he explains the child is his grandson and they like to dress comfortably. This could be a problem for families with children or anyone attending events at the proposed location for the Buckeye Barn venue. I've listed 14 event venues in Ellis County. I am certain I have missed several smaller locations. We do not need another event center, especially in the country. And last, 15 years ago, I attended meetings in the Extension Office on forming a zoning committee for the rural areas to protect all landowners from things like this happening. At that time, I was not in favor of more government control. But today, I wonder how this got thumbs up so quickly by the zoning committee. Thank you for your time and listening to my concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there someone else who would like to address the board?
Hello, I'm Sarah Schubert, my husband Dustin Schubert. I know you've seen the paperwork, but to best describe, I think, what we have to say, I'll reread it. We have lived at 1660 Buckeye Road since you started building in 2003. So let us introduce ourselves. We, Dustin Schubert and Sarah Schubert, live at 1660 Buckeye Road, Hays, Kansas. We are the residents who have lived in our homestead for the last 18 years. Dustin Schubert, originally from Plainville, Kansas, has served and who will continue to serve Ellis County EMS as a paramedic the last 25 years. He just got recognized last week, Monday. Myself, Sarah Wassinger Schubert, originally from Victoria, Kansas, is a busy mother of 3 children, a recent nail technician graduating from Hays Academy, and I served 8 years in the Army National Guard, actually here in Smith Center, and currently serves the Buckeye Township as a clerk since 2012. Our children are Felicity 8, Linus 5 years old, and Vincent 2 years old. Felicity and Linus attend Holy Family Elementary School, Hays. Our church parish is St. Catherine in Catherine, Kansas. With the recent approval of the Buckeye Barn per the Ellis County Zoning Committee from January 27th, we are hugely concerned and disappointed that this could, in fact, potentially be approved by all of you. Our quiet, country residential living is now in jeopardy, and we now know our closer neighbors, township residents and farmers, are just as concerned and frankly not wanting this to be approved. Personally, me going 2 weeks ago on a Friday, going door to door down the street of Buckeye, in and around the mile sections 260th, Emrim, Feedlot, and getting the signatures that I do have that I sent in to you. The quotes that I received as well that I had jotted down. This isn't right. Why would they, the Zimmermans, want this kind of venue out right next to where they live? Personally speaking, with Dustin and myself, within a half a mile, this would be right here. 350 people, Friday, Saturday, any given time, as a mother in and out of 183 constantly, daily with my kids at night, during the day, early mornings. Again, my husband working for Ellis County EMS. What's going to pose there? We're going to keep a truck aside for the potential more traffic, more accidents. Why did they only apply for a residential water permit versus a commercial one? As rural water, as you'd seen their letter, now knowing what's going on. I do not want the increased drunk drivers on the highway this far out of town, says one neighbor. We do not want the increased traffic out here, says another. Our family moved out here 2 years ago to get away from the city and raise our family, Jason Williams. Our family just moved this way 3 months ago. Ashley Disney, we do not want this. Why we moved out here. It takes one drunk throwing out a cigarette butt, and here we go again with the potential field fires that we just experienced and all our residents experienced 3 years ago again. Darren Myers, you were right there with my husband. A venue this size does not need to be this far out of town. If this venue is approved, what else commercially will start to go out here? As if this would fall through and they sell, you're leaving a big door open now of what else can come out here and who's protecting us that's been established out here. If the venue goes up and in future they sell it, what potentially will go in? Why were we not asked to speak again and ask questions after Leanne proposed the building? This is another neighbor. I definitely had more questions and now concerns knowing what was being proposed. We had no idea this was potentially going in until reading Hayes' post. How did we not know? I think more of us would have spoken at the meeting if we had known what was being officially proposed and not having to speak first. This is far from welcomed out here, and like I tell you, when I went door to door, it is far from welcome with the residents living out there, as myself and my husband. They will be taking away business from the Buckeye Schoolhouse, the Shank, and the Unrein building. What kind of venue is this? Wedding? What if they start booking concerts out here too? A sexual offender who is convicted in 3 different states lives right next to the proposed building. Why is this not public knowledge? This is personal on my part and how I found out. 4 acres for a building that size? Heck, 4 acres is needed for just parking. We are this far out of town and paid for the pricey land just so we can be out of town. More traffic, more drunks, joyriding, accidents. I will tell you, if you're not familiar with that out by Buckeye's paved. You'll be taking the dirt roads, the county roads. If you don't want to be taking 183 back in, my scare is them coming right that close to the highway, right back out and driving if you're drunk or joyriding. I'm fearful for my grandchildren out here with the increased traffic. The oil-filled trucks and the semis that drive too fast anyhow never slow down. Case in point, I have an aunt and uncle that own total lease service here in Hayes, and their trucks come barreling down all the time, but they know who lives right there. How much will the venue rate be? After everything that goes into it, I don't see how it'll be more affordable, and I don't see the rate comparable to the rates with the venues already in town. How is the water pressure going to my home going to be affected if this goes in? Residential water permit, really? They applied for a residential water permit? 350 people. How did they get by with that? Will our property taxes go up? The Shank, the Unrein, the Deutschfest Hall building generate money for the county. What kind of kickback will they give to the county? As you can clearly read, this is not welcomed out here in the Buckeye Township. So much support has been pouring in for the disapproval of anything this big commercially with the Buckeye lots intended for residential and farming. The Buckeye Schoolhouse hosts the 4-H club members for their monthly meetings and activities. It already provides the township residents and the general public for our smaller gatherings, weddings included, as Kim Seib had her wedding out there, rehearsal dinners, family reunions, birthday parties, anniversary parties, and regular celebrations. The capacity can comfortably fit 200 people using all 3 rooms, and beyond affordable, with a rent of $50 a day and a cleaning deposit of $100. The schoolhouse generates money for the county, supported by the county, and the generous donations that keep the schoolhouse maintained and rented. We, the residents, landowners, and farmers community of Buckeye Township, have been established for a number of years. I think that should say something as well. Some for 40, Michael Schmeidler, some of us almost 20, me and my husband and myself, and some who moved out here in the last 5 years, as the other 2 neighbors just acquired the lots. As we did fight and protest the same situation 4 years ago when another landowner wanted to do the exact same thing. Our children, Felicity and Linus, ride the USD 49 school bus back home every day from Holy Family Elementary School. They are dropped off at the schoolhouse. Each day as their parents, we still worry if they have looked both ways before crossing Buckeye Road to walk home. It is a heavily trafficked streets, and it will be more so if this goes up. I will tell you that. Oil-filled trucks, semis, and big farming equipment travels this paved county road frequently. A registered sex offender, pedophile, who is not public knowledge, lives right across the street from the Buckeye Schoolhouse. His name is Steve Paris, 69 years old. We have paid for his background check, and 3 years ago, we now know his sexual criminal history. When meeting Steve for the first time, Dustin and myself, when we met him for the first time, we tried to be those accommodating, get-to-know-you neighbors and had him in our home and around our children. After about 9 months of red flags and me checking the KBI website and Watchdog and anything I can have on there, he was presenting his red flags, and I had checked him out. We were shocked what we found. We now know better and told him 3 years ago he was no longer allowed on our property. This past June 2020, I, Sarah, personally saw Steve with my kids with me at 7 o'clock in the morning, completely naked by the road with only a ball cap on. He was picking weeds by the road. Garrett Brenning from the Ellis County Sheriff's Department has my complaint on file, case 20-3543. As this has not been for the first time for myself or the other residents that live by seeing him mowing naked, walking by the Buckeye Road naked, and having the USD 49 bus barn very concerned, as I had to talk to them before school started and during school started with all of this. In conclusion, we, Dustin and Sarah, Buckeye residents, landowners, and farmers urge you, the commissioners, to put yourselves in our situation if you had this potentially going in where you lived and this far out of the city limits of Hayes. We, the registered voters and taxpayers of this county, have spoken with our signatures and concerns. My 22 signatures, I think the 13 protest letters that came in and have signed, I think that should say something as well. And again, personally, this is our homestead. We are not going anywhere. This is our life out here. So,
We've talked to the residents from the area. It's pretty clear that the residents around the area do not want this event here, this event center here.
so.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, Mason, could you come up here?
Evening, Commissioners. Mason Reuter, Environmental Planning Supervisor, and Joint Planning Commission Chair David McDaniel. Coming before you this evening, we included in your agenda packet the copies of the findings of fact from the January 27th meeting, copy of the January 27th draft minutes, a copy of the staff report presented at that meeting, all associated protest forms filed within the protest period into the county clerk's office, included a map of all the protest filings and where their locations are, the letters of support, a letter from Trigo Rural Water District Number 2 in association with the proposed permit they applied with that, and then the actual resolution should you choose to approve. So the Planning and Zoning Commission approved the conditional use permit 2044 for an event center at the public hearing on January 27th, and are submitting it to the County Commission for their final decision. As of this time, one formal protest within the 1,000-foot notification area containing more than the required 20% of land owned to the legally protest and force a unanimous decision by the County Board of Commissioners has been filed with the Ellis County Clerk's Office. Mr. Paul McCray, one of the 6 notifications sent out within the 1,000-foot notification area as designated by the abstractor's filing, was turned in the proper time and manner to the Ellis County Clerk's Office to force a unanimous decision for your approval with or without conditions this evening, should you choose to do that. 26 additional property signatures were submitted on protest sheets for reference. 1 additional protest form was submitted with no property listed. 2 letters of support were submitted for reference, and 1 letter from the Trigo Rural Water District was submitted for reference. And then I will have David McDaniel go through the rest of the information and stand for comments. And I believe representatives from the Zimmerman Jamie Trust are here to answer any questions for you as well.
Mason, is there anybody here from the Trigo Rural Water District?
Yes. Is there somebody from the Trigo Rural Water? Yeah. Okay. Would you like him to come up?
Please.
Okay.
You can go ahead if you want to start while he's coming up, that's fine.
Okay, David McDaniel, Chairman of the Joint Planning Commission for the county. I'll be brief. The committee met on January 27th. One of the items on the agenda that night to address was a public hearing for conditional use permit 2044, a venue north of Hayes. There were approximately 30 to 35 people in the attendance at that meeting, and approximately 7 or 8 people spoke at that meeting. Some were against, there were some for. We had some written opposition that was given to us ahead of time. The staff reports to us at that point. And I want to clear that up tonight, or today, that this was not a quick thing. These conditional use permits follow an agenda, a printed format, and we follow that to the letter. The staff told us that everything had been taken care of, fees paid, signs posted, all that had been done. The committee went through our 11-point checklist that I believe you people have in your possession this afternoon in your packet. If you look at number 7, it says that the recommendations of the permanent professional staff, that everything was done, all the paperwork was filed appropriately, the fees were paid, the sign was posted, and all other steps were followed within the proper time frame. We announced at that time that a protest period would be over on February 10th. That has happened. As we went through our 11-point checklist, which you have in front of you, we found no reason not to approve this. So at that time, it was voted and approved 100% unanimously to approve this as it was presented. I understand there's been protests since, but that doesn't include the committee. Is there questions for me?
I have some questions for you. Looking at your guidelines and findings of facts, under number 2, whether the location of the proposed use is compatible to other land uses in the surrounding neighborhood, well, there's definitely a conflict with the residential area. You can tell by the amount of protesters there's a conflict with the residential area. Under number 3, if there's an undue burden on existing transportation and service facilities in the area, and you said there is power and rural water district tap available, it's my understanding as I'm talking to you right now, there is no rural water tap available.
We did not know anything about rural water at that meeting.
That's okay.
The petitioner told us that they had applied to rural water.
Yes, understand that. Under number 4, whether the proposed use is made necessary or desirable because of change or changing conditions in the area affected, the applicant states that there is a shortage of event centers, and this will add another option to the market. Well, that's definitely debatable if there's a shortage, and the protesters would debate that issue vigorously.
Certainly.
Under number 6, whether the applicant's property is suitable for the proposed use, the applicant's property is probably definitely suitable, but it's going to be a commercial endeavor adjacent to residential, which is what spearheaded the protests. Under number 8, and I would like a clarification on this. It says whether the proposed conditional use would be in conformance with and further enhance the implementation of the county's comprehensive plan. How would this further enhance the implementation of the county's comprehensive plan?
Growth within the county is the only answer I could answer at this time.
Okay. Under number 9, whether the relative gain to the public health, safety, and general welfare outweighs the hardship imposed on the applicant by not upgrading the value of the property by approving the proposed conditional use. And how does this provide gain to the public health, safety, and welfare?
As far as I would understand it, it would provide another venue for public use.
Well, definitely the protesters would disagree with that.
I'm sure they do.
Under number 10, again, I'm sure it complies with the conditions on which the approval is made, but it's going to interfere with homeowners. And it does mention the surrounding neighborhood and the residences are there, but this does, once again, interfere with homeowners. So there's a lot of issues here to be concerned with. And let's see, the rural water district, gentlemen, can you come up here, please?
Thank you, gentlemen.
We received a letter from the rural water district saying you do not have a tap available for a commercial establishment. Is that correct?
That letter said that they applied in my board's eyes for a residential.
Okay,
We approved a residential tap.
okay.
And so they did apply, they were approved for a residential tap.
Does that venue require residential or a commercial tap?
Well, in our feelings, it would be a commercial. And as far as the water district goes, we provide one size of meter, and that's a
Okay.
5/8 by 3/4 meter. Whether it's commercial or residential, but what they've applied for would use more water on a daily basis when it's used than a typical household.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I got a question in regards to that. Dan Hess's place out there, is that a commercial tap on his property?
I don't know.
Is it a 3/4 inch tap?
It's the exact same size tap that you guys applied for.
It's a residential tap.
Yeah.
And he supplies 400 jobs out there on a daily basis?
Plus, he has his own water well out there, too. Mr. Hess also has his own water well out there also, besides your guys's. Have you read this letter, John, that Kenneth Shadollar signed?
Yes.
You have? Okay. Because I guess you guys weren't aware of it until it was on Hayes Post on January 31st, is that correct?
Correct.
And when was our hearing, the 27th?
Yes.
Of January, correct? Yes. So rural water didn't know about it till after? You guys already held that? Okay. And just reading through some of this, John, I guess, I wasn't aware of this till I received this letter either, but, I mean, when you get down to part of it, I know you said you've already read it. I mean, how much lower could the pressure drop? Is there any idea? I mean, right now you say it, 39 pounds, are you looking at it might go to 20 pounds or?
We're required by the state to maintain 40 pounds of pressure,
Okay,
so.
And as far as Hess using the same amount of water that they're going to use in a couple of hours, it's not like they're all going in, and a little bit of a difference there. But do you feel comfortable that you could serve them with that amount of water?
I cannot
Time will tell.
answer that question because I don't know what their plans are for out there.
Okay.
Typically, when something like that, we would have their architect design or something like that. We would send it off to our engineer, and he would look at the peak loads and see if we were able to provide enough water for it.
Have they done that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
And we do not offer fire protection. That's just a flat out no.
yeah, Leanne told me she talked to you about it, and that's what you stated also, but I guess, and Darren maybe can answer this. Out at the Ellis County Fairgrounds, we had to put in fire suppression in both buildings for out there. I mean, and that's a full steel building, correct? Both of them are, or the whole thing is. I guess so who would make that call if they need fire suppression? Is that the Kansas Fire Marshal?
That's correct. They have a plans review department that'll determine the size of the building, the occupancy, what type of construction it's made out of, and then give their recommendation. Since Ellis County does not have any enforced building codes, it would be their determination of what type of suppression system would have to be in there, as well as if there needed to be a monitored alarm system. The difference with the fairgrounds is we were fortunate enough with it being close to Hayes, it has city water. The city of Hayes ran a water line out there to supply enough pressure and water to that system.
I guess, John, the one part of this that concerns me a little bit, no factors concerning the provision of water for a business that can serve 350 people for hours at a time was considered. As such, serious concerns exist with the district's engineer, Alan
Salter.
Thank you, and our board of directors, and our ability to provide service for an event center. So you've read this letter too, so you also, I guess that was my thing as far as fire suppression goes, but that's all I had for John. I don't know if you guys have
Okay.
anything else.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions for Dave or Mason?
Thanks, John.
All right, thank you.
I do have a question on, as far as on the septic system, if it, if it's going to operate Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is it going to work?
Yes, the system has to be designed to max load capacity, which they are aware of in our preliminary meetings. We went out and did soil profile holes to determine a suitable site for a septic system. There are a few different options they can take as far as a septic system. We'll make size and recommendations on type once we get the official max capacity for the structure to make that calculation.
Okay, thank you.
So Mason, when you guys looked at this, you didn't have the water or the letter from Rural Water District, correct? 'Cause it
That is
came
correct.
after
We
the
received
fact.
that after the 27th meeting.
And even quite a few of these other protest letters by it looks, they came after the fact, correct?
Correct. They all showed up within the protest period.
I see that. I was just going by dates.
You had no information as far as on the fire marshal looking at it or anything like that?
No, it had been stated that they were going to have the fire marshal look at it,
Okay.
but we had not
All
seen
right,
that.
thank
And then
you.
the rural water information was the information that we had at the time a tap was applied for.
Okay. Okay. That's all I had.
Okay. Could we have someone from the Zimmerman Trust come up?
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leanne Zimmerman. Where would you like me to start?
Well, just tell us why we should approve this, in your opinion.
Okay. I'll first start by addressing some of the things that were already said. Sue McCrae-Bickle that come up here, her address is probably 2 miles from the area where this event center would be. So that is out of the 1,000 feet. Her father's land is across the road on Buckeye to the south, and her father did sell a piece of ground right next to him that is commercial, that is owned by Keith Worth. So you have a commercial, you have agriculture, which is McCrae, and then you have mine that is agriculture, and then across 183, the other 1,000 feet is also agriculture, and on the other corner is agriculture as well. On the other side of me then is commercial. My 4 acres is for the conditional use permit. So the majority of the area would be for agriculture with the commercial use. Where the area of Keith Worth, they have the system where the oil field individuals come in, and if we need to talk about that later, we can. The people were concerned that they didn't have enough event centers. I brought that up that we do have the 4-H building, the Unrein building, the Shank building that is in use. One of the issues with those buildings are they are booked heavily, and not everybody can get in on the dates that they want to get in for the Shank building because it is very reasonably priced. The Strand is brand new, so they don't have as big of area as the 4-H. We have very big families around this area. That would require something to be a lot bigger. Thirsties, I think she mentioned, was 50 to 100 people. I can't recall the exact number. That's a gathering room. But at Thirsties, I suppose you could get married inside Thirsties in there, but you would have to utilize their food and you would have to pay for their drinks there. Gross Memorial Coliseum, you can't have alcohol as far as I know there, and as well as the Memorial Ballroom. You can't do that. And we're Volga German, and as most of us know, alcohol is present at almost every wedding that you do go to. So those 3 that are on the Fort Hays State campus they are out of the picture. Fort Hays State does not have their Oktoberfest on their own ground. They have it on Ellis County ground because alcohol is served there. The Rose Garden, she mentioned probably having 500 people there. That too is booked. The Hilton is brand new, but the Hilton is very pricey. So that does not leave the people that cannot afford a lot for a wedding an option to use that. The VFW is a smaller place. I would say that it is not as big as she deems that 450 people is what I wrote that she said that could be in there. And the Knights was really big too. I don't think it's that big. She talked about the equipment that was at the Buckeye Barn, that she was worried about injuries with that. I will clarify that half of that equipment is on our land, not on the Buckeye Schoolhouse. And I have already talked with Alan Schmidt about that. Even though that equipment is on our land, for whatever reason it was put there, there's no need to move that equipment, because I would still consider that to be their swing set, that type of thing. So for some of that equipment, that's not their liability with that. Her concern with people that would be, the kids that would be walking that far to go through there, well, if they're not going to walk through the Milo field, they'd have to walk on the highway. I would assume that parents are going to be watching their children. Most parents do. I did talk to the insurance agent, and he did say that with regard to the sprinkler system, that was not needed, and I can get into that a little bit later with what the fire marshal has told me about the sprinkler system. The issue with the fire marshal, I'll talk about that later. The increase in traffic, the majority of the traffic is going to be going north and south and not down the Buckeye Road that is paved to the east. So I disagree with that. She mentioned the security of her area. Well, they do make alarms and systems that people could put up security systems. Their concern was drunk driving. Drunk driving, it does not matter what establishment that you could go to. We could go to Thirsty's and we could eat and we could drink, and someone could get in an accident from Thirsty's that would be just right here in town. The same way with the 4-H building. They're allowed to have alcohol out there, and there's a 2-lane highway and there's a 4-lane highway that leaves that 4-H building out there. So it is the same whether you have the building that we're proposing versus any other building that has been brought up. A concern was brought up with regard to smoking and someone going by there and throwing out a cigarette. That can happen at any time. It doesn't just mean that that building caused that. They brought up a man that is a sex offender that resides next to the Schuberts, that is naked, and they've seen him naked and he's been turned in. He is not within 1,000 feet of this facility. He is next to the Schubert's house where they live, when they moved out to the country. So most of the events, the people are going to come to the Buckeye Barn, and that would be per se more on the corner of 183 per se, versus then driving, I'm going to take a guess, at about 2,008 feet or something like that to go past his house to look at him. She mentioned that 15 years ago she was with the meeting with the zoning committee, and things are changing. Well, yes, our town is changing from 15 years ago. We do want to keep our young people here. We do want to keep our young people so that they have an event center, so that they are able to get married here and stay here, so they don't go anywhere else. We have places in Salina and Newton and Valley Center and all the other places that are putting up beautiful wedding venues. And there is no place like the one I'm proposing that we could have in Hayes. I'll now address Sarah and Dustin Schubert. Them living out there since 2003, being a paramedic, her being a wife and a nail technician, where their kids go to school, that absolutely has nothing to do with putting in this event center. The other issue that she brought up was the drunk driver. I think I've already addressed that. The residential water permit, I guess I could address that now. I don't know what letter that you got, but I never got a copy of whatever letter that you're talking about from them. I did talk to John Douglas about that, and I also talked with Kurt Staub, and they did approve it, and they said, hey, yeah, we didn't know it was for we thought this was for residential. And he said, just call the office, which I did, to make that clarification, which I did make that clarification. And we went over the application. And the application that they have you do was filled out correctly. The application, what are my needs? And so my needs were for persons, so I circled persons, okay? Estimated 1 day a week to be used, okay? And the other options were dairy cattle, other cattle, hogs, sheep, or poultry. So as far as on their own application form, there is not one section where it says, is this residential, commercial, or for conditional use permit? So that was clarified, and I called, and that was all okayed with them. The next item that the Schuberts addressed was the cigarettes that were thrown out. That was already mentioned, so I did address that. They did talk about this being a residential area. This is not a residential area. The area that we are talking about is an agriculture area. The agriculture area has individuals that have bought plots out there that is their home or their house where they live, but it is not within the 1,000 feet of this facility. The other item that was mentioned is like people didn't know about it. I did meet with Mason, and we did contact everybody. I did do the 11 points. We paid the money for those people that were in the 1,000 feet, and it was posted in the Hayes Daily News, the correct number of times that needed to be done. They're concerned about parking on 4 acres. That would not be enough parking. Just doing the statistics, you can park about 115 cars on 1 acre. So if you do the math on that, then you can park 350 cars on about 3.5 acres, something like that. But I'm also able to rent additional farm ground, just like another person would be if I would need additional parking. That would be right there. So I don't think the parking is a valid issue with that. They're concerned about the affordability and the cost that it might be to put up this facility. I don't think that is an issue on regard to how much it's going to cost and what it's going to afford someone to come out to do that. We haven't even decided on the building yet. So that, I think that's a moot point that is not really needing to be addressed. They're worried about what kickback that I am going to get, is what they mentioned. There are no kickbacks that I am getting on this. I'm an individual. This is what I want to use my money on. I want to give back to the community, and I want to put up this building. So, no kickbacks. The concern was that they mentioned the oil field trucks, the speeding, and all the people that drive by their Buckeye Road. The Buckeye Road is a road that is out in the country, and there are going to be trucks that drive on that road just like any other road, just like 183 highway. They drive through town to get to wherever they have their business here in town as well. One of the things that was brought up that you mentioned that hopefully I've answered all your questions. I'm kind of trying to make it a little bit shorter. You had mentioned some things to David McDaniel, and you had talked about the rural water. So I hope I've addressed that part already with the rural water
Not
issue.
to the satisfaction that they're going to, you're going to have rural water. The letter I states, they're really questioning it.
Okay, like I said, I never received that letter, so it would be nice if I could get a copy of that letter so I could address that. So if I guess we have to go back to the rural water, when I spoke with John Douglas, he said he does not provide rural fire protection to anyone with a meter. And he said that my meter is the exact same meter that the house down the road is. Those are his exact words. He noted that I would be able to put in a larger line on my side, and we talked about putting in a holding tank. So we would put in a holding tank, and this holding tank would have water there that would be sufficient if we needed it for an event.
Leanne, I do have
Yeah.
a letter here if you want it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That's the same one we have, Leanne, that we just got also.
Okay, I never got this letter, so. You could, yeah, if you
Can I
want.
see that letter?
Butch has one, yeah.
Sure. There you go.
Good, how are you?
So after reading the letter, one of the things is that they said that it was estimated that there would be 5,000 gallons a month. This was calculated if the facility was used like on a Saturday, and we had a wedding there using the low flush toilets, calculating 0.6 for each of the toilets that would be flushed through there. So that's where that come up with, and I did talk with them about that on the phone. So that was talked with that. They said they approve for domestic use only. As I have their application here, there is no part on their application where you would mark that it would be for commercial. You say the persons, and so that's exactly what I did. So I did fill it out correctly. It was not done to where it was saying anything else, but only to fill out what they requested. And I even wrote other items in on their application. One of the things that they said in the letter is our engineer states that the possible solution for an on-site storage or pressure system. So yes, so we did talk about having a storage system, and I also already did talk with the state fire marshal about that, about putting the state fire marshal's office, let me clarify that. Their engineer that they have there, about putting on an underground tank system that would hold the water that would be needed, so it would not lower the pressure, and so we would have enough water. So I did address that. They said that their district only supplies residential-sized meter, that 5/8 of an inch, and that's for anybody. So my neighbor across the way, which would be Keith Worth, who has a commercial setting, who has some oil field stuff in the back, and then has 2 big buildings there that is rent out, he would have the same meter that I would have in mine, which would be used like on Saturdays and not every day of the week. So that would be a lot less. Not always do individuals go to the bathroom at the same time at a wedding event. One of the things in the letter that it said is we asked if we could increase our line so that we could have fire protection, and that was with regard to putting in the underground tank, okay? Mr. Douglas said that he does not provide any fire protection for anyone that they provide a meter for. So I'm no different than the houses that are down the road from them. In regard to shortage of event centers, the word shortage can mean different things for different individuals as far as when they can get in and how long that they want to wait to get in for a venue type of thing. Just since this has been in the paper already, I've already had 3 people contact me wanting to set up, I don't even have a building, to set up a wedding event date. Because they knew that it would be something new, and it would be something in the country, and it would be something different. The other question that you brought up to David McDaniel was that you said this wasn't suitable to the residential area. This is, again, I'll remind you that it's not a residential area. This is agriculture land, and this is commercial land that is adjacent to me on both sides. the individuals that live out there bought plots of land, whether it was 3 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, but they live probably a half a mile at least away from where the event center would be. One of the other things that you brought up was the safety and the welfare. In putting up the building, we would have to follow guidelines that would provide the people safety that are attending the events. We would have to follow the regulations and all of those codes. The fire marshal's office, in working with them, they do not have anything to do with a building that is less than 2,000 people. So for the state fire marshal to be involved with this building, that is a no. That is in their booklets, that is online, on the internet, that is what they sent me, and that is what they told me over the phone. The things that are 2,000 people or more would be like a nursing home was the example, a hospital. Those are the things that they get involved in with the building. There are other codes that they told me that I would need to follow so that I could get an occupancy. So those would be the codes that I would follow, would be those, and not the state fire marshal per se, because my building would be smaller than the 2,000. People are concerned about a sprinkler system. Got to have a sprinkler system in there, okay? We do not have to have a sprinkler system in the building, provided other things are done. We would have a firewall. You could have a fire suppression wall that could be put in. There are individuals that I have spoke to that have a building like I am considering to be put up, about the same size, and they also have an outdoor area. They have no sprinkler system put in because they worked with the draftsman and they made sure they had all the firewalls in place and they got the stamp of approval. And they are out in the rural community. So they have the same size, same everything, and no fire sprinklers needed because they took all the precautions that were needed and followed all the guidelines that they were to do. If you give me a moment, I have those codes real quick. I'll look in my bag for that. Okay.
Darren, are you aware of any of that?
That's why when we don't have codes, everything is just reverted back to the state because they're the ones that have the authority on it. So it varies. I mean, you can't keep track from building to building just because of that. Even within the city, it's different, but when the state.
At the fairgrounds out there, we have sprinklers.
Sprinklers and an alarmed monitoring system, which we pay for. You know, it's that way when you pull an alarm or a head goes off, it automatically calls. I couldn't tell you the history. When the county did that, that was probably good, what, 10, 15 years ago?
Probably, I don't remember anymore. It's been quite a while ago.
When talking to the state fire marshal, he said I would be like an A3 group, and that's considered like dance halls, funeral parlors, lecture halls, museums. So, and this is online, and so he sent this to me too. This is from the fire marshal, so this is where I got all those codes from. And so he walked me through that. And I keep saying state fire marshal. I mean Brian Love, who was speaking for the state fire marshal, that did that. And he wrote a letter that said, we spoke, and he provided me an overview of the regulations and advised you to consult the architect that would be licensed in the state of Kansas to assist me moving forward. He said, I advise that our agency would not have a plan review responsible nor construction inspection responsibility unless the facility was designed to have over 2,000 occupants. He went on to say, I advised you that the construction has to comply with the state's minimum codes. And so he wrote down the codes that it would have to apply. And this is the International Building Code and the Fire Code. So that was from the fire marshal with that. My son knows more about the correct words to use, so I'd like him to speak with regard to the commercial property regarding the safety aspect.
My name is Jesse Zimmerman. It seems to me that the main concern for this facility going in is a safety issue. Increased traffic and things of that. With the commercial business right across from the proposed plan here, Keithworth, there is actually a few oil field service companies in that facility. One of those being a acid services company, which handles hydrochloric acid and many other hazardous materials. Along with that, I believe they used a poly tank instead of a fiberglass tank. And not only that company there moved in, but also a wireline company is taken home in one of the buildings. Now, where wireline, there is Class 1 explosives and also radiation. They have americium beryllium-241, which is housed there. And I'm sure, I don't believe that the residents are aware of, but the ATF and State Fire Marshal came in and they had to, they did not meet code as far as how far the explosives were away from residential housing. So the building was too close to residential houses, and so they could not approve of the containment for the explosives. It had to be moved into another location of the building, and it still is actually less than 3 feet off from actually meeting code, but they passed it. One thing that I think safety accidents do happen, and I don't think a chain link fence can protect them from an explosion or a radiation leak per se. One instance being an explosion at LK Wireline right here in town where it blew out all the windows in the hotel. Those are some things, those seem to be not an issue when they put these facilities in. And I think this facility going in right across the street is going to do no harm more than what a hazardous material company or a wireline company across the way would do.
Thanks, Dusty.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Okay. I come before you, and what I would like is your unanimous approval to go forward with the Buckeye Barn Center. It is my hope that I'm able to do it. I know someone has brought up the financial with it. Well, it's still my hope that I want to do it. You know, that's on my bucket list. That's my personal thing. That's something that I want to do individually. I do need your unanimous approval from each of you to do that, to move forward. But also know that I have done a lot of research. I still have more research to go. Even if I get approved, I have to make sure that I follow the letter of the law. I have to follow all the departments that I need to go to, and I'm willing to do that, whatever they are. My first thought was the State Fire Marshal's office, so whatever I needed to do there. But I was derailed from them, and they said, you need to go follow these. So every step that I'm taking and going and doing what I'm told, so that, number one, is safety of our friends and our family, no matter where we're at, in whatever building. So that's probably the biggest thing. I'm asking for the same right that you and the county commissioners have in operating a fairground building, but as an individual to put up this event building. There's no difference when people have a wedding at that location or than the location that I've asked for, that is the ground that I own that's agriculture. The only difference is from the one that you all manage is it sits right next to I-70, which is a 4-lane, and people can get on there to go to Waukeeny or back into Hayes that direction, whereas ours is 183. Very doubtful that, again, that they're going to use the Buckeye Road to drive there. This event center puts no one's livelihood in jeopardy. It does not jeopardize their home or their livelihood whatsoever. This is a facility where people can have jobs. There could be more caterers for our town. So I think it's a positive for our town. My understanding is that the main people that are outside of the 1,000 feet who signed the petition, they're worried about the cigarette butt or the trailer being stolen. And those reasons we cannot blame on a building, because those things happen whether a building is there or whether a building is not there. This land was put up for public auction, and you know, if the landowners all wanted nothing ever to be there, they had the same opportunity as I did to purchase that land, but they did not purchase it, you know, and if they didn't want a hog farm or a feedlot or something going in there, they could have purchased it. So the building is doing no harm. It's not there to do any harm, okay? My husband and I, we are a couple that sees growth in the community, and one of the things is there's not probably within 150 miles another building that is like the one that we're proposing to put up. So we want to provide jobs. We want to see our family, our relatives come back to town. They'll spend money at local hotels and eat at local businesses while they're waiting for the wedding or that type of thing. So that is why I ask you all to give a unanimous approval. I'm here for suggestions. I'm here for recommendations. I don't know it all. I am learning, and I want to put the building in. But I do need assistance and help, and so one of the things are the 2 codes that the fire marshal's office has already given me. We did talk about putting in the tank, which he thought was a good idea for water. The other suggestion that he offered was that we could build a pond. And with this pond, he said we could always use this for a type of water if we ever needed anything. So he gave several suggestions too that, I won't go into right now. So I am trying to do my best to follow the codes so that I can get your unanimous approval. Do you have any questions of me regarding anything?
Gentlemen, any questions?
Storm shelter, anything there to protect people?
No. Does the 4-H have any protection that you know of, or the VFW?
Just asking questions.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I'm just wondering, I'm just wondering, because I've been out at the 4-H and I don't know. So if they had, that's why I asked back if that was necessary.
VFW is a little bit older than what you're going to build. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no.
Public safety.
Yeah, no. And the fire marshal, the Brian Love at the fire marshal, did not mention anything that we'd have to have a storm shelter type of thing.
And explain to me a little bit about what kind of a pond you're going to build for water.
This was an idea that Brian Love from the fire marshal's office had said that we could always put a pond in that would be able to provide water if needed. He said, at that point in time, he said, if your neighbor's house is on fire, he said, would you allow them to use that water? And my answer was yes. So not only would that pond be for something that would be needed, water, it could also be for a residential home that wouldn't be my home.
Okay, so this pond is going to be fenced in. You were talking about alcohol, so now we're looking at somebody drowning, possibly?
The pond doesn't have to be close by to that. The fencing, that would probably have to go through the insurance to see if you would need a fence around the pond, and I don't know how close. These are all ideas that he had given me, that he was talking about. You could, do the tank, you could do a pond, that type of thing.
Okay. We recently attended a wedding in a barn at Scott City. It was beautiful, but it was away from public. It was out in the middle by Scott Lake. So, yes, it is a nice thing. I guess my question to you guys, would you be in agreement to move it a mile north or half a mile north and talk to the residents out there, and you guys can have some cooperation between each other?
Move it a half a mile north.
Or even a mile north. You've got property on the west side of the road, a mile and a half north of there.
The mile north, that would be a problem, I would say.
There?
Well, the reason that I say it's a problem there is because of the road that goes in there. It is a very dangerous road that goes in there. And that is my son's property.
Okay.
That is there. And we have already spoke with him about probably the danger of that road. That's already right there because the pond is very deep and then it's a drop off on the other side. That's my first concern that comes to mind when you say move it a mile north and not having an entranceway to go there. So, but that brings up a whole another issue of because you called me and you told me that that if this does not get approved, I have to wait an entire year for this to go back again.
The exact same location.
For the exact same location.
This conditional use is specific to your 4.001 acres for this location on Buckeye.
That's not on Buckeye Road, but it's at the intersection of Buckeye and 183.
Yeah,
Okay.
your current.
Okay. So basically, another counter to that would be, it could be in the same half section there that we own. So the Buckeye Road is right here, and then the Highway 183 would be right here, okay? And so we're proposing it right here, okay? So even if we moved it this way to the north to where, if I remember, it's Spores, the commercial property that is right there. So if it would be moved that direction and then go in and out of 183, I don't have a problem with that. The only reason why I didn't do that originally is because I thought it might be safer if when they got out, and I spoke with Mason about this when we designed that, was that I thought it would be safer if, like it got out at one time, everybody left at one time, the traffic would be backed up into my parking lot and onto Buckeye Road and not 183. So that is kind of why we picked that 4 acres, just for that reason. So for it to go north in that same, I don't have a problem with that at all. Again, it'd just be my own safety thing that I'd worry about Highway 183. But yes, that would be an idea to consider.
You know, you guys have mentioned that, there's hazardous material in that corner. Do you want that close to that?
Well, remember, he had said that they had moved it, okay? And so that's not going to bother our event center over there.
Both of those
Yeah, but it had been approved that everybody was okay with that at the time.
Yeah, both of them are, either business is there anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
And when they stored explosives,
Okay.
there's,
yeah.
that isn't the whole story.
guess-
Yeah.
They stored explosives.
My
but-
thought is half a mile north of there, but I would still like you guys and all the residents up there to talk this over, because up there, there's a windmill. It would make a nice picture, but, you know, the arguing between residents and you is just not acceptable. I mean, we need
And
to
they,
get
they have not come to me. Dustin Schubert
Mm-hmm.
and Sarah Schubert, they have not contacted me. They have not come to me. Neither has Sue Bickle. She has not come to me. None of them have come to me. The person that I did talk to was the person that I bought the ground from. That was Clem Carleen, and he was positive for that, as well as Gary Geist within the 1,000 feet, and also Keith Worth, who was positive for that. And they said they were not going to come because they thought it was a great idea, and they knew we would build a beautiful place.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Leanne.
No other questions?
I think so.
No? Comments?
Well, I guess I wish the zoning board, and it was after the fact, I wish they had seen all the information we had in front of us instead of 2 weeks after their meeting when they got all the information, especially this from Rural Water. I talked to some of the guys from Rural Water, and they were, they have concerns about it. The district's ability to provide a reliable service to the Zimmermans remained uncertain at best. The service for this event center is not possible to guarantee. Some of that concerns me. I mean, I hate to see Leanne and Jamie build a very high
But
dollar
Dean,
facility.
on the comeback to that is that on their application, they also, and probably my husband and my sons could talk more to this, is that when you have someone that has, because they wanted to know about cattle, so you could put down that you had cattle and how much water do cattle drink. So, if that area there had cattle, and you had that in there, if you had cattle in there, how many gallons would that take? That would take more than a residential home.
I guess I just wish the zoning board would have had information to this and all the other petitions that had been sent since your meeting, that would have gave you guys more information and to reach out to the folks that are here this evening. So that is one concern of mine, or more than one concern of mine alone. And Neil's idea of maybe moving it farther north would also appease the neighborhood out there. If it's another half a mile north, I don't know that answer. But that is something to consider. About that
Absolutely.
also.
Yeah.
Yes, Jesse?
Can I just touch base on the rural water thing? When John was up here, it kind of seemed like he was dumbfounded, I guess, with his own letter in reference to your taps. I've been working in excavation for 15 years. Those taps are the same at Dan Hess's Celebration Church, the Shank Building, the Unrein Building. These places have holding tanks, 10,000-gallon holding tanks built for them. They also have 3-inch mains. For example, Dan Hess. He's pushing everything through a 5/8 line. And he has a small colony out there. We are concerned with...
That isn't his only water source though either, Jesse.
Yeah,
I think me and you both know that. He has more than one water well out there.
Absolutely.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but he has one main one with a 3-inch line feeding
For
a
his
lot of
office.
things out there.
That's for his office.
But we also have Celebration Church, we have the Shank Building, the Unrein Building. Are those not on rural water?
No, they're not all on rural water.
Which ones are?
Just Dan Hess and the church, what you're talking about.
Okay, the church has a 5/8 line with a 10,000-gallon holding tank. How many people come there Saturday, Sunday?
Sure, and to
Go to
Jesse,
church.
in this application, and I think some more information needs to come from your mom and dad on that also, in this, that this is what we are gonna do. We are gonna put in I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just using an example, a
Well, just-
2,000-gallon holding tank,
Yeah,
okay?
yep.
And I think if rural water is aware of that, and everyone else involved, including the zoning board, is, that kind of changes a lot of things. I mean, it's pretty wide open, Jesse, right now. I mean, how it's listed.
Yeah.
It's pretty wide open. I think we both would agree on that. And as Leanne said, you know, she has more planning to do, working with the fire marshal, et cetera. She's learning as she's going too.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the zoning board didn't have all the information when they approved it 4-0. I mean, since then, there's been, give or take, 17 letters, plus one from Trigger Rural Water District that came, I believe, on February the 9th. You know, this was done in January, so there's a lot of ifs, you know, out there. Neil made a suggestion moving it further north.
I guess my question in regards to that, what's the difference if it gets moved a quarter mile north in relation to being where it's
It's
at
that much
now?
further away from residential homes, I think, is what the people out there are asking for. I can't speak for them. I know a few of them, but I can't
Yeah.
speak for them. That's what they're thinking. I don't honestly know that, but I'm assuming, and we all know what that word means, but
But even if it gets moved north a ways, and, you know, I'm still learning, so the holding tank I've already mentioned to you, doing all of those things. The rural water district, you know, when I talked with John Douglas, he already said, let's not put in the meter just yet. He said, let's wait, because this was last week, let's wait until after it warms up. And I says, well, let's just wait till the end of March to put the water meter in.
I guess my concern with coming up here is, you know, you can have a 5/8 line, you could put a 6-inch main going to your building, and it's 1,000 feet away. How many gallons of water is that line gonna hold? How much?
same. It's all based off pressure.
I understand that, but you put a holding tank there, a pressure tank there also, you still got the same power. And you're not
Exactly.
affiliating anybody or messing with anybody else's downstream on that Buckeye
No,
Road.
it's volume and pressure is
Yeah.
what it goes back to.
That's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you, Jesse.
And by the way, that's Casey. The other
Well,
one was
that's
Jesse.
Casey, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I should have known that. I knew
Yeah,
that when I
okay.
looked at him too.
And,
Okay.
you know, further north, I drove out there, coming off 183, you've got two entrances going in up there, but like,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna beat the horse up. You guys all need to get together and cooperate, and if that can happen. I know you said they didn't contact you.
No, they did not.
I guess,
And then I had heard, you know, there was a petition going around, and they had X number of people sign it. I haven't seen that petition or nothing. So what I've heard is what I've heard here tonight when they got up here to speak. So none of their thoughts or recommendations are like yours, hey, can you just move it to the other end of that property where there is that windmill, yeah.
and I guess with the cooperation, could you have not went door to door and asked?
But when I met with Mason, the majority of what we discussed was the 1,000 people. I paid for the permits, that was the 1,000 feet of those people that were the ones that would have had the say whether or not it went up. So I did not realize whatsoever that, you know, the people that lived 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles east on the Buckeye Road were going to sign a petition that were worried about their trailers being stolen, or a cigarette butt, a sex offender, all of those items that they brought up. Didn't have a clue on that.
So Leanne, do you own the property all the way up there to Spores Rock Pit or not? Are you that far north, or how far north do you go?
They're half
Rock
a mile,
pit?
they're half a mile.
Rock, do you mean
quarter.
like the spores? The,
The
next to where that big rock pile is? Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I guess.
And I don't think if I'd ask my husband, would you have, yeah, would you have any objection, Jamie, if we moved? If, I don't have any concerns about moving this from, you know, where we put this out, Mason, on this 400, this 4 acres. If we moved it closer that direction on that.
So what you're saying is move it further north and then closer to 183.
Is that what you're saying?
By that one exit where the half section line is, there's a driveway that you can drive in there. If the state would okay us to use that driveway to come right in there and to move it up there,
So I guess
I don't have a problem with that.
I'm just
I mean, if
saying-
it helps meets the other people's needs that are right there, I'm okay with that. And if you're okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be fine there anyway, there.
I'm just saying there's some more homework, because you're gonna have to get with the state first to see if that can be accomplished.
Well, the other option
And the
is
other
that we
option
have
is
the
that
access road.
We have an access road
road.
there, which is old 183, that goes along the highway there. So they could actually turn off of 183 there at the intersection.
And go all the way north.
And then they can go north,
Yeah.
you know, and do there.
I guess what,
My thing is, you know, these people, you know, I have farmed, we farmed, I mean, that's our livelihood, okay? And we own farm ground around in the area and everything like that. We have people that have bought some ground out there, you know, 3 to 5 acres, and now they say they're so-called farmers and want country living and all that stuff. You know, if word could be, or I mean, if truth could be known, there was a lot of people, when those houses went up there, farmers were talking to me and they said, yeah, why is all this stuff going up here? You know, they were upset with it too, you know, that, so now we're gonna have more people up here, more traffic, you know, and the whole thing of that was going on, you know, at that time, when those houses were being built up there. You know, because there were farmers, you know, complaining about that, to me. And so, you know, they got their way, you know, and now, you know, we're wanting to do something. And now they don't want us to be up there. But yet, you know, we do farm. You know, this is our livelihood, you know, and everything like that.
I have a little different perspective on this that I'll elaborate on. And I'm going to speak on behalf of the protesters. I've heard this is a safety issue, it's a building issue, it's a water issue, may or may not be a water issue. It's not a building issue, it's not even a safety issue. Many years ago, commissioners passed a resolution which allowed me to go out and investigate nuisances. And I done that. And in that resolution, there was a whole lot of different listed nuisances. But the one definition of a nuisance I found most effective is the one the World Health Organization uses. And that is, a nuisance is that which interferes with a person's health, comfort, or repose. This kind of business, as perceived by the homeowners in the area, believe this to be a potential nuisance. It will interfere with their comfort and repose, whether that's be from some drunks getting together in their cars, racing up and down Buckeye Road, whether it might be from noise, could be a variety of things. The first reaction I had when I heard there was going to be a event venue there, I thought, well, what if someone wants to go out there and have a rave concert? That could happen. I used to know a young man who put together these kind of concerts. They were quite lucrative for him. He doesn't do that anymore, though. So the potential for a nuisance is there with this kind of a business as perceived by those homeowners. They've invested in their homesteads. They've invested in countryside living. They have a right to that tranquility and solitude. They just do. And I'm definitely want to try to protect that right.
But is there farm houses around the Schenck building out there, you know, when that was being built and everything like that? There is some farms around
Yeah,
there.
they was already there, actually, Jamie. I think that was before my time and probably your time, too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
so the same thing, when you have the Schenck building and the Unrein building, you have a farm that's right across the way, right there, when you pull in at that third exit that you have there.
Have quite a few houses, a half a mile.
Yes, you do. You have all those, and
And then the racetrack too, you know, you have that there too,
you know, the racetrack, we can hear that at our house.
Yeah.
You know,
I hear the racetrack, and I'm over here on 36 and 4th
yeah,
Street.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, to say that, I guess I disagree with that, because our building that we're proposing is exactly like the building that you are managing with the county, with the Unrein and the Schenck building. It's just at a different location,
That it is. I wouldn't want it next to me.
so.
I know that.
And Jamie, as you know, as farming has changed over the years, I mean, you know as well as I do, it's, people from the city has moved to the county,
Yeah.
you know, for.
But we
to have
can't
3
stop
acres,
them though
5
from
acres.
doing that though.
Exactly, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
we can't stop any of
And we've
that.
had a change, or I've had a change, and maybe, I don't know if you farm close enough to a group of houses, I've had to change the way I farm to accommodate them. I wasn't happy about it.
Yeah,
You know, but I
yeah.
did because I've got 8 houses right along a big stretch of farm ground I farm, and now I have to really watch when I spray, I have to watch when I work in the field, everything,
Yeah,
you know.
I
so
know,
we're
I
having to
understand.
adapt. And, I mean, their point out there too is, I mean,
I guess if their point is that they do not want it on the Buckeye Road turning in there,
I think farther away from their houses, and I can't speak for any of them, but if it was farther away from their houses, like Neil mentioned.
So in other words, up there where you're saying.
by the
north,
spore
close
ground.
to that,
Go in the northwest quarter of that quarter section.
You know, if it was up there, they may be in favor or not be in favor. I don't know that answer.
So, I mean, in other words,
Yeah.
we could change it and then it'd be the
Well,
same thing.
I
It could be
think
the same
the
thing.
smart thing to do.
In other
and-
words-
and I can't speak for how you want to do it, but if you were going to move it to that northwest corner, I'd definitely go see, I mean, we have a list, or Darren can get you a list of all the homeowners out there. And well, Mason has it too. And I would go visit with them if it's moved up to that northwest part of the,
I don't know, I mean, could you just take a vote right here to see what they would say here tonight? Just so to let me know, so that way if I went door to door, what to expect if,
I don't know that we,
you that live out there.
I don't know that we can do that. I don't think we
No,
can.
we're not going to do that.
Out there, my
Present.
question would be, if it would be,
We're not here to do that.
to the north, would you be interested in that?
I don't think we can ask them to vote on it tonight, Leanne. That would
Yeah,
be,
so the thing is that, I think no matter what, it's like an individual thing, and it is that we don't want you to do this, period. This is my idea, we don't want you to do that. And I don't know who will come up here next and maybe have a better place or a better plan, or presented you with the codes or this or that you would say yes to that. But I would do your idea, but I don't know if it would fulfill their needs, even though you've offered that. I just want the same chance that we have at the Schenck Building, that is out there in the country, that the commissioners are the ones that rule over that. As an individual, I want that same chance in the country to have a beautiful place to have weddings. That's what I want.
I mean, there's nothing, as far as an outdoor wedding venue, there is nothing within 150 miles, you know, or, I mean, well, you said there was one in Scott City. I didn't know anything about that.
there's one at Newton. I've been to one at Newton
The
before.
one at
That's-
Newton, yeah, that's the one, you know, that I was.
I've been to that one, and that's,
And you know what, there's people locally that have had to go, you know, some of them have gone down to Wichita, you know, so they can get married in a place of that nature, you know, an outdoor wedding. Because not everybody can get married in, you know, church or whatever.
Sure.
Or don't want to get married in church, yeah.
Commissioners, do I hear a motion on this?
I guess before I'd make a motion or not make a motion, I guess I still like Neil's idea of potentially moving it further up the highway, away from Buckeye Road. I still do like that idea more than anything, I guess, because it would be further away. And especially from that housing area out there.
Well, that would be at least, what, a mile away or whatever, or,
Probably. I would just guess,
yeah.
without looking at a map, I'd say, Jamie, probably a mile further up the road.
I guess I would ask Mrs. Schubert to come back up, not that she can speak for everyone, but just see what her feeling is on it.
Sure.
I have a feeling that, sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a feeling just moving it that half a mile maybe is probably not gonna make a whole lot of difference with anyone in the area.
Yeah.
We do not, the people in the area do not want it in the area. I think there's better places in the county that they can probably find for this type of event center. There's gotta be a better location somewhere. And-
As I was going to say, as my petition is, I went to 260th, I went to Emron, I went to Locust Grove, I've gone to, I'm a parishioner in Catherine, Kansas, and you've got the farmers like, oh, you got to be kidding me, we wouldn't want something like that in our area. She had brought up the fact that we didn't come up to her. Well, you didn't come up to us. You're right there. We're right there. You could have knocked on our door like I did 2 weeks ago on a Friday and went around the township. Then I went to the county and paid $18 and I asked, what are the addresses? What are the phone numbers? I want to get a hold of the township people. So, I mean, you could have came up to us as well. But again, 22 signatures right here, door to door.
And I don't think moving in a half a mile away is not going to make anyone take their name off that list, my personal opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
We were told initially that it only, the county was only concerned with people within 1,000 feet of the area. That's the rule. And that's the rule. In other words, it doesn't matter if somebody from 30 miles away doesn't want it. I mean, they have to take those in consideration.
I think it
The
needs
ones
to go
that
back
are
to the
really
planning
main
board.
concern
What's that?
within the 1,000
Yeah,
feet.
but again, 22 signatures, I think, speak volumes and going door to door, so.
No, they don't.
So. Your opinion, my opinion, so. That's all we got.
Be
So.
realistic.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone want to make a motion on this CUP?
Commissioners, I'd like to add something real quick, please.
Yeah. Mason?
With the movement of the property, they would have to redo this entire process again, just so you are aware. That is how it would take.
Okay, thanks, Mason.
You are aware if it doesn't pass up here, it goes back to the planning and zoning board?
If you,
Wouldn't
if
it
you.
Go back to them?
Yes, because your options are to approve with conditions that you would like to see attached to them, deny it outright, or return it back to planning and zoning for further review, and then we would come back before you after the next meeting,
Okay,
or the current processes.
okay, thank you.
Well, I was just having a very hard time hearing back there, and I want to make sure that I heard everything what Mason had said as far as what would be the options with regard to that. And then getting back with Schubert, if I would have known that I would have needed to have petitions for people outside the 1,000 feet, if I would have been given that opportunity, then I would have gone and I would have got a whole bunch of signatures who lived wherever. The most important thing that I was told, it was the people that were in 1,000 feet that made the difference. That's what I paid for. That's who got the certified letters. And those were the people that it mattered, was the 1,000 feet. It didn't matter for those people that were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles that were down the Buckeye Road, because they were not within the 1,000 feet. So I did not have to contact them.
Well, following up on Butch, where I live, we've also got, it's a gymnasium right across the street. When they do have events there, I have to clean up the trash. So I can see these people's point. I guess I just don't want to rush into it, and because it is going to be, as well as I do, this trash is going to get away. Instead of cigarettes, there'll be cans, cups, all that kind of stuff. So.
I'm doubtful, though, that the cans and the cups are going to go a mile that direction anymore what they have now. When the people that are leaving, when I'm already sitting on 183 right there and have a parking lot, that it would be any different than what they have pickup to do out at the 4-H building.
As you won't see it every day either, as I pull into my home 2 or 3 times a day. You won't see that. You're on 240th, I'm on Buckeye.
What steps does the Shake Building put in place to pick up their trash?
The 4-Hers do it.
Yes, I do.
And then there's some other,
That's another opportunity for the 4-Hers then for our building.
send it back to zoning, approve it or deny it, correct?
I want to deny it.
I think they've got
I
it
want to
out
make a
on their
motion to deny it. Commissioners, I make a motion that we disapprove CUP 2044. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. The CUP is disapproved. Okay, we have a virus update.
Oh, we had a dozer update. What was that?
Commissioners, as I stated earlier, our Health Services Director was unable to make it this evening due to the length of the previous discussion. He didn't know if he would be able to be here and leave you stranded without an update. So he did send me a statement this afternoon that he wanted me to read, if you're able to let me do so.
Sure.
Since November 23rd, 2020, Ellis County has continued to see a steady decline in the average cases per day, and the trend continues today. They've seen slight undulations with an under overall continued decline. Our high was 45 cases per day on that November 23rd, and their current rate of 6 cases per day is their 7-day average. In regards to their vaccinations, the clinic that has been organized as a community partnership is running smoothly, and they are happy with the progress and the efficiency of it. To date, they have given over 2,300 vaccinations at the facility. They have, unfortunately, only received 400 doses for this week. They are currently engaged all other partners in the state and federal levels, including KDHE and legislative partners, to bring more vaccine to Ellis County. They have been unsuccessful in increasing their allocation. They encourage all residents to sign up online at ellisco.net or call 621-1812 and have the form assisted to be filled out for them. They continue to request patience from the community as they work through this unprecedented time. In regards to the Walmart and private pharmacy vaccinations, many private pharmacies in the state of Kansas have received vaccination directly from the federal government. Walmart and Hayes has received 200 doses this past week and is expected to receive more each week. They have seen private pharmacies outside of Ellis County reach out to organizations inside Ellis County to schedule our residents for the vaccine. The Ellis County Health Department encourages all residents to accept and schedule for any vaccine that they can receive. The more vaccine that we can bring into Ellis County, the better. Currently, only two sources of vaccinations the only two sources of vaccinations are the Ellis County Health Department in conjunction with First Care Clinic and the Community Coalition at Walmart Pharmacy. The Ellis County Health Department does not have any oversight or connection to the private pharmacy system. Therefore, if you wish to receive vaccination from the pharmacies, you must sign up on their website. We ask that the Ellis County continues to remain patient with the vaccine process as we work through the priority list. Hopefully, by early spring, we have more widespread availability of the vaccine and we'll be able to broaden our current criteria.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have an appraiser update. Lisa. Is Lisa here?
Yeah. She was, wasn't she? I thought she was sitting behind Greg, or, no? No, I guess not.
Okay, Lisa's not here.
I thought she was earlier.
She may have to leave.
That's true, too.
Oh. Okay, dozer replacement. Vern.
Evening, Commissioners. Vern Reuter, landfill foreman. First thing I have for you is an update on your handicap accessible door for the office building. The contractor said he couldn't get anything through Heartland, and he could only get a door through State Glass. It's about $5,300. So I don't know if I need to come back for approval for that, or
Just approximate cost.
yeah, $5,300 added to.
And that's gonna be, it shouldn't be, it ain't gonna come in at 7,000 or nothing, is it?
No.
Okay.
So
I think you're probably okay with it.
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Well, if we're doing it, let's do it
Yeah,
right.
let's do it.
It needs
Okay.
to be done right.
Okay, I'll let him know that he's going to order it
Okay.
then.
Thank you.
All right. What I have tonight is our 1978 dozer, which was bought brand new back in '78. Finally quit on us. It has 14,000 hours. The work that needs done on it, there's a list from Caterpillar for you. It's about $50,000 worth of things wrong with it, with the idler arms, the gears, the tracks. And that's just for the whole undercarriage rebuild, which it had a rebuild about 7,000 hours, but now they're suggesting that we probably go ahead and it's time to replace it. See here, they were talking about it. They have a 2013 D6 dozer for $189,000, and they're talking about giving us $5,000 for our D6D dozer, the 78 dozer, since it's probably not worth maybe $35,000 if we do put $50,000 into it. New dozer costs about $316,000, which I don't think that's something we need to do. Get a brand new dozer.
Vern, does our dozer still move? Did you guys load it on the trailer and take it down there?
Caterpillar came up, they drug it up on there. Tracks fell off it. And
So we have a main roller completely out, because I was gonna say.
yeah,
We could put that dozer on Purple Wave and get more than 5,000 out of it, if it still moves under its own power.
it doesn't right now. We could probably put about $10,000 into it to get it to move, but that still is not fixing the hydraulic leaks, and that's just fixing the left side. So that's where, that's something we could do, is put on Purple Wave, because I'm not sure.
Well, if it doesn't move under its own power,
Yeah,
you got a duck.
kind of what I was thinking.
But, I mean, if it does move under its own power, and I did ask Jay Wade, I called him today.
Okay.
He wasn't sure if it moved under its own power or not. He said he wasn't aware of it either way.
No,
So, he didn't know if they drove it on, they drug it on, or what.
they drug it on.
'Cause he said the same thing on Purple Wave, it'd probably bring 15,000 if it moved under its own power.
Yeah, I think we'd have to drop close to 10,000 into it to get it to that point.
Mm-hmm.
They did offer us a lease option, kind of like the Public Works did with their graders and their dump trucks, which I thought, talking with Darren, we probably could afford about the $35,000 a year range, which it comes in at. And by the final $63,000 here in the 5th year, we'll have more money in there, since we'll have the Carleen land paid off in 3.
Sure.
So,
Vern, how many hours do you put on a dozer in a year?
in a year, we probably put 350.
Oh, okay.
About 350. But now that we do have the expanded land, we borrowed the Public Works D7 out there, and we're tearing it. Like I said, we got a new rock pit kind of built over there. We're going to have to start doing dirt work for the new phase.
Okay.
So this dozer also could be utilized in other positions too, not just out there, that we could use it throughout the county?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, we trade back and forth. The Public Works just borrowed our scraper for last month.
Okay.
And it's kind of like we have something going wrong with the compactor. They bring us a D7 and back and forth.
Okay.
Okay.
And this does have a rear ripper on, correct?
That I don't know. It does have.
Should have,
Okay.
for the price.
Okay.
'Cause I did a bunch of price comparisons over the weekend, and I did call Jay last night about 10 o'clock. And I told him he was about $12,000 to $14,000 higher than everything else I found. And he says, well, did you factor in the ripper? And I said, I don't see anywhere on there where it says it has a ripper. He said, well, it does, a 4-shank.
Okay.
So that makes up for about 20,000 of it
Good
right
deal.
there.
But he's going to give you a discount.
So, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, and they did.
That's a $20,000 option to put a rear ripper like that on.
Okay.
So it's already on there.
Okay.
So,
And working with Caterpillar too, they give us a 4-year, how many hours? 4-year warranty that we won't use that many hours on it.
1,000 hours,
Yeah.
you'll never get there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my question was, if we can utilize it other places, so
Oh,
we
yeah.
can get our goodie out of it. you
Yes.
know.
Yeah, because we have a dozer out at Public Works that we're gonna have to do something with. Brendan, he isn't here either, huh?
Is that the D4?
They had to meet in Victoria.
Oh, that's right. Huh?
The D4 or the D7?
Both of them. That
Okay.
D4 is gonna,
Yeah, I know the D7 we're using too.
that D7 is,
Getting kind of old.
that might be one of them we send in for that full
Yeah.
rebuild like we did on that scraper.
We might be lucky enough to get 40 years out of this one too, so.
Yeah, no kidding. but you won't, but good luck. So,
Okay.
but no, I think like I said, I shopped it all pretty hard yesterday, looking at comparable pricing around in about a 30-state area, and I thought it was just a little high, so I did call him, and he said with the ripper on that is factored in, which I didn't see anywhere on there that said it had a ripper on it, so I did call and ask.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Good for you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to know.
Okay, do we hear a motion on this?
yeah, if I can, where's it at here?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead, that's fine.
First of all, thanks, Vern. for
Oh, you
all
bet.
do. I move the commission approve the purchase of one Caterpillar 2013 D6N track type dozer Foley equipment for $184,400 with their lease purchase option at 4 years of $33,505.28 and a $63,120 buyout. Trade-in Caterpillar 1978 D6D dozer for $5,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
All right, thank you.
Okay, cleaning services agreement.
Hi, Greg Herbert with
Hi, Greg.
Buildings and Grounds. This is a contract for 3 years with Clean Ride Services. They have been doing it basically the last 3 years. And the reason we went to a private contractor is we had an employee that got hurt, so he ended up having to leave his position. And me and Phil back a few years back kind of discussed this, and since it was an after-hours work, and he didn't really help me a whole lot on maintenance part of it, we decided to go with a contract which would save the county some money. So basically, we're wanting to renew this for another 3 years. I talked with Jason and Amanda with the courthouse, and I think Darren's okay with it as far as what they're doing there, and they're all okay with renewing the contract. So this is what that's all about. You have any questions?
No, we've been using this service, like you say, for a couple of years now,
And Greg, if you're happy with it, then, and they're doing a good job for us,
Yeah, it puts a little bit more on us, but we are able to get by with it. I think another 3 years would probably be all right. Who knows what happens in the future?
yeah.
okay,
If we didn't have the service, we'd have to be hiring
you'd
personnel.
have to hire personnel. Yep.
No question
It is
about
the same price as it was, the contract's the same price as it was last time, except for the services they provide if one of us is out, their emergency services, they did move that up in price to $32, I think it said an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But the base price is still the same as it was the last contract.
Okay. Okay,
I move to approve the renewal of the cleaning services contract with BP Textiles LLC and request the chair to sign it.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the next item is the Hayes Public Library parking lot repair.
As the commissioners can see in the packet, in the back part of the library, the south parking lot, which is off 12th Street, in that corner of the L shape of the public library, they've had some settling of both asphalt and concrete, which has not helped water drainage and runoff from around that portion of the building. With that, in that settling of the concrete and asphalt, it has water intrusion both into the library itself. They've had that issue for several years. The library staff has contacted Greg Herbert, which was just here. Probably caught him too quick before, or not quick enough before he left. Greg does not have any issues with it. I don't see any issues with it as well. The library itself, their funds, they've worked with a contractor to help identify the problem, the solution, and the funds to pay for the repair. There will be a minimal disruption to that part of the parking lot, obviously, as they tear out and replace in the coming weeks. But with it doing an impact to our county infrastructure, buildings and grounds, I thought it was best to bring it to the commission, just to make sure the commission was aware and didn't have any issues with it before I gave the library staff the okay to proceed.
Fine with it.
Yeah,
Done.
if it's broke, it needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
How long has this issue been going on? Any idea?
That was one thing I didn't ask Brandon, is how long, but it seems like it's been going on for a while.
That's what I thought.
I think it's been in the years.
Yeah. Okay,
Greg
it's
would probably
time.
know better than anybody. but
time
I
to
think
get
it's
it
been
done.
Within the
Get it-
years.
They seem like it has taken a while and it's caused them some havoc in the past, so I would have to agree in years.
Yeah. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Yep, I will let them know.
Okay.
County Administrator report.
I have nothing this evening.
Okay. County Commission reports. Commissioner Hazelhorst.
I have a boring life. I have nothing.
Okay. Commissioner Younger.
Everybody stay warm. Hopefully the lights all stay on.
There you go.
And I have no report.
I talked to a guy at Texoma today, of all places, Texoma Lake. It was 2 degrees.
At Texoma?
Texoma.
Holy fright.
Did you?
And they were without power.
Weeds. Noxious weed.
Oh, yes, that was one other question that I had. When I was going through this, I seen that Gary meets with the city to, for spray concerns. I guess I need to talk to Gary, or unless you did, Darren, and just find out what was going on, that we are working with the city, so.
Yeah, so I did call Gary Haas, our noxious weeds director, and asked him what all services he does provide to the city for the spraying of not necessarily noxious weeds, but just weeds in general, whether it be bindweed or et cetera, and where they did that throughout the city and their properties. The biggest one that they spray is, I believe it's twice a year, but they spray all the canals. So all the water drainage canals throughout town, so that's a pretty significant amount. And then they go into their service yards there on Vine Street, and I believe they're getting ready to start spraying their compost site. I believe that was something new that the city had inquired this year. The buffalo pens, the sports complex, the dog park, and then I guess there's about a 10-acre hay patch that's around the sports complex out there that they also spray. And then something that's also new is the fire training facility out there by the old sewer park fields. They do spray that as well. So that was a pretty good list for what he had given me this afternoon after I asked him.
Good. And then as, also the packet 40 that Bobby sent, I was going through that and seeing that, and I wasn't aware of it, that we purchased salt from the city of Hayes. I don't know if you guys, okay, so that was kind of interesting also.
Mr. Bill Ring?
Bill Ring, former Public Works Director. We don't purchase it from the city. We use their account.
Okay.
The supplier for salt will not, for whatever reason, they won't allow any more new accounts. So we go down there, we pick it up, and we're running it through their books is what it is.
Okay.
Okay?
Good, thank
We've
you.
tried for years,
Thank you.
and they won't do it. And then the other one to add on to the spray is we also spray for the gun club and the police shooting range area out there behind Celebration Church.
Okay, nice. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Executive session.
I move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session under the following exemption to the Kansas Open Meetings Act pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exemption. For 10 minutes, subject to be discussed during executive session is employee personnel matter. Those persons to attend in addition to the Board of County Commissioners are Mr. Bill Jeter, Mr. Mike Liker, and interim County Administrator Darren Myers. Second.
Second it.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0.
They'll just be flat from the cold.
No action, and the meeting is adjourned at 7:13.
Can I make a recommendation?
Pick up like 15 minutes prior,
Sure.
should be warm when I get there.
All the cars. But, because we had a problem, if you remember when we
Don't
rewatched
forget to rub it
the
in.
meeting.
I
with
know, I'm gonna, she's a call
Mary
this week, but
Alice.
I'm gonna make myself a note.
You cannot hear, I watched you guys and listened on the way over to Victoria, because I had to go talk, and on the way back, people need to come up here, because all you hear is chatter back and forth, and you can't, and unfortunately, we were listening, I'm picking up what you two were talking about on your mics, because that's not picking